Q&A episode. I was looking through some of the questions that people had sent me.
The question is, I have an old sales team that is reluctant to change. What advice would you have for them?
Updating SOPs and binders for employees. How are you keeping these up to date when there are changes?
My expectation that you might agree is,
What are you using for inventory tracking materials and equipment?
the inventory management system, is it set up to maintain logistics for your organization?
I wanted to look into changing my subs over to W-2 piece rate employees. What are some of the things to consider?
I am buying out my business partner. How have you seen these deals structured in the past?
How I was going to answer this is, number one,
Welcome to Beers with Contractors.
Terry. Another episode of Beers with Contractors. Cheers to you, sir.
Cheers, Will.
And cheers to all you guys out there. Thank you for listening another week. Terry, I have been so behind on our new subscribers.
Guess you have.
And go figure, like, we jumped up by like a few hundred across platforms. So I'm a little like, do I do this? The less I do it, our subscriber count goes up. But I feel like I get to give some credit to especially some of our YouTube folks. Have been ignoring our YouTube folks. So thank you, Hal Sanders, Milton Arula, Christopher W., Angel Beltran, Trevor Russell, Tony Crowder, Mastermind 77. I think he misspelled mastermind. Or it was taken. Who knows? Thank you guys. Like and subscribe. Pumped about some episodes coming up. We got some awesome guests. We have a backlog now, Terry. And we've had it before, but we get busy in work and then realize, oh, crap, we got to throw some episodes down. So Terry, you came in today saying, man, I just tired from working. You know, like, wait a minute. Whoa, Mr. Academia. So how's the new job going? It's going good, right?
New job is amazing. Been enjoying it every day. I've been down there on campus. And while I am exceptionally tired after 2 weeks of 5 o'clock mornings leaving the house and getting back by about 6, it has been exceptionally good.
Yeah. Well, I know I've held you up a few days here just on beers. And it's like, well, we got to let traffic weigh its way out. And then all of a sudden it's 6 o'clock before we leave. So, but nevertheless, man, glad to have you. Glad you're enjoying the new job. Today, Q&A episode. I was looking through some of the questions that people had sent me. And some of these, just so you guys know the genesis of these, some of them come from questions on a few of the Facebook groups I'm a part of and admins on. Also, some of them come through our roundtable owners only groups that I hold every other Friday. Others, you know, they just kind of percolate through my email, and it's like, well, I can answer it for one person or I could answer it for many. But Terry, specifically, there's a few in here that kind of live in your world a little bit, and I'm interested to see what you have to say about some of these. So
I am concerned at this point in time on what these could be, but
no. I mean, well, I tell you what, let's lead it off. I'm going to skip down. This is farther down the list. You know, I'm typically the one that's like jumping into these questions, but you know, when I read this question, I was like, you know, I would be more interested to hear what Terry has to say here. So it's number 6, by the way. I'm skipping down, Terry. My employees don't seem to retain any or all of my trainings. What are you doing to help with retention for new hires and existing employees? Now, I'm like, I've got tons of thoughts on this, but your very skill set is teaching.
I know.
So like, I would be interested to see how your answer correlates with mine or if they're totally yin and yang here. But I mean, you're the king of retention. You know, you can't send kids out, not kids, adults, to either a job or another year of classes without making sure they're qualified for that class. So what have you found in your, by the way, you got a lot of experience in this. Like, what have you found in the last 10 years that have maximized retention and training either new hires or existing ones?
Well, I think, you know, it's a very good timing because we're getting into the first week of classes. So
they remember everything, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. and nothing was lost over that summer of, you know, work and other activities. The biggest thing I see is that you have to make it connect with them. So it's a little bit different. Obviously, students are coming into the classroom and they are working towards something. But your employees are probably working towards something too. And I think a lot of the guests that we've had on, Will, have talked about making sure that you're building up your employees just like you're building up your own organization.
Mm-hmm.
They all have a goal that they're working towards. And so in the classroom, or I think in work situation, if you're able to align what you're trying to teach them in that moment with how it's going to get them to that next step, be it that next career promotion, that next class, or just that next pay bump, I think that it's able to probably stick a little bit better. And, you know, you have to really work at trying to understand what they are working towards. You know, if you think they're just there for a paycheck, I mean, and you're treating them like that, that could be part of the problem. If they're there to benefit themselves and move themselves and their families forward, I think you probably have a little better grasp in getting them to retain what you want them to retain.
So now, at any given time, what's your student load, Terry? Like, how many students?
Right. This semester, I'll have just short of 150 students.
Okay,
And
so you're telling me there's a chance. It's like Dumb and Dumber. Like, I can't get these damn 8 employees to retain on this one training that I went over once a year. Then I hear, like, I got praise to you, buddy. Actually, cheers to you. I thought you were going to say like 70 or 80. Bro, that many students?
Mhm.
God, that's a lot of shithead students.
no, they are, no,
I'm
you know,
joking. I'm comparing them to me.
no, it's, you know, it's exceptionally, you know, I think you just kind of aged yourself there because I don't know which generation you are, Will, but we're both getting older. But, you know, the kids that come in, you know, the young people coming in today, they view things completely different than we do. And the other part of this, what I'd tell this guy, and I catch myself doing this all the time, there is no guarantee that these young people had the same youth or childhood you did, for good or bad, right? So, you know, my expectation where I learned to read a tape measure and how to hold a skill saw or a hammer and stuff like that, I was taught by my father. If I expect that from these people who are in my class, I am way off base. And so if you're expecting them to know some of the basic stuff that you knew at their age, there's a good chance they don't because they're not you. And you have to understand that first.
Well, I love looking at those memes on the internet where it's like, if we could write in cursive and drive stick shifts, we could cripple a generation. Next Facebook message, I got hacked. Don't
Yeah.
accept. It's like, come on, bro. Like, the you know, it's funny, and maybe you could add some flavor to this. How I was going to answer this is, number one, when I train anybody, I read a study somewhere, and it was more along the lines of, you should only expect at your best a 22% retention rate of the information that you're delivering. And that opened my eyes to, like, when you have a group of individuals or employees sitting down and training, it's not a one and done thing. You have to repeat it over and over and over. But I think, like, one thing that a lot of people forget about, and we do this as human beings, as owners of businesses, we have that information, but we need recall, meaning our ability to recall that information, which a lot of business owners are not very good at. So, like, your SOPs, which there's a question in here about SOPs and stuff. We're going to get into that. But if you can create an area where the employee has access to that answer that they need a question answered to without having to, like, go around and ask, like, the guy that's been there 30 years and doesn't know the answer, and he's just going to make something up on the spot, or the owner, you know, if you can give them quick access to the answers, because I think a lot of employees, no matter what age group you're in, they just want to be told what to do. Like, I have a problem. How do I fix it? And recall is an important thing. We're going to come back to that because I think that's in one of our questions specifically about SOPs, which I'm pretty pumped. We're doing some pretty cool stuff with AI and SOPs. So,
Well, and the other thing, Will, is you have to understand that not everyone's going to learn the same way you did, right?
No.
So I love how you said, you know, one of these things I read, right? And Will, I know you well enough that means you listen to an audiobook, right? Because I do the same
that's
thing.
exactly right. Yeah, bro.
But, you know, I have students who they'll read everything and they'll retain it that way. I have students that you have to tell them everything and they'll retain it that way. Or those that want to be active and physically doing something, and learning that way. So if you are also delivering all this information in one way, in one format, you might be hitting or missing the mark with some of them.
Well, yes. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, I was a part of Derek Zoolander's Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good. I graduated with honors.
Yeah.
But
I'm just glad that building got a lot bigger from the model, because it would have been hard to get in there.
I was really upset when I got in there. It was nothing but coloring books. But honestly, but no, we've known each other long enough. If I said this on the show, like an employee or a customer's favorite radio station is WIIFM. Do you know what that stands for?
No, I don't.
What's in it for me? Man, and you mentioned it like right off the bat. Like if you're not tying it to like, how does this value me? I'm not going to retain it.
Right.
And, that's huge, because it's like your retention rate goes up tremendously in the transfer of information when you make it about the individual you're talking to. Now, I don't know how you do it in a class full of 50 people, but I know you can look at somebody in the eye and say, listen, you told me this was important to you, so what I'm about to say is really going to tie to your goals. You better believe they're going to remember that. And if it's just like, here's a T-shirt, watch this video, meet me up when you're done so you can go out to the job site, man, you're just not going to hit it. So, but yeah, well, cool. We are off to the races. And Terry, you got the lead first question. We rambled on for probably 7 minutes about this, but
we've done too well. This is like the most productivity we've had.
I remember the book, and you know what? Yes, you're right. I was thinking this was a book I read, but no, it was on audio. Got Quiet Leadership by Dr. David Rock. That's where I learned that about the 22% retention rate. Great book. It talks about just like the psychology of how we retain information. Man, it is awesome. Which is funny because I read the book and I am not a quiet leader. You know me. So, all right. So let's see here. Let's pluck one of these questions out. Actually, this dovetails well.
Okay.
What AI tools are you using for the receptionist or appointment setting parts of your company? Which, of course, we're seeing more and more AI tools every day. Man, I know it feels like there's something new coming out every day, but there's some like really cool tools if you've got a receptionist or an appointment setter that if you go back 8 years ago, some of this stuff's been around a long time. Smith.ai is probably one of the go-to for home service companies, specifically because it could build out use cases for, your specific kind of service, HVAC, plumbing, electrical. But man, they've probably been in it the longest, I believe, and they have built in a ton of integrations. We've struggled with, in my company, just to be clear, tying the AI agent to our CRM, and that's kind of a hurdle that we're having in our company with some of our Salesforce and Improve It 360 issues. But the people rocking and rolling on Service Titan, House Call Pro, Jobber, there are tons of AI receptionist plugins. Have you booked an appointment or talked to any AI receptionists when you're trying to set something up, Terry?
So here's the thing, is from what I expect, I probably have, and I probably don't know it, right? So I think where they're getting so good that like it's going to be harder and harder to tell the difference. What I do know is on the way up here today, I tried to call someone, right? And I tried to call an organization that we're trying to do some work with. And I went through their little daisy chain of trying to find someone to talk to. All the way
phone tree? You get locked into a phone tree?
Yeah. And I got to the point where I had to leave a message. And, there's nothing that is like, in that moment, I would have rather had an AI assistant come up and ask me and get me to where I needed to go.
Now, hold on. Was this your proctologist that you were calling? Because if they call back during the episode, you should put it on the phone or the microphone. And we should hear.
No, what's funny is it was at another university. And so what and it's within business hours. Someone's supposed to be picking up the phone, and you just go through this little daisy chain of aggravation, and you get to the end. And so you talk about home service companies that are utilizing this practice and how good it's working for them. There's colleges out there that are not doing it. There are big institutions that could take a lesson from you, Will.
It's funny. We badmouth construction for not innovating and being kind of the last ones to the table. But boy, it's funny. You look at large organizational institutions and they're the same way. But also, if you think about this, like the AI functions, I want to be very clear. I was not an early adopter to a lot of the AI stuff. I was reluctant, like, is this really something real, or is this a fad? As I go to my car and put my A tracks in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But I tell you, dude, like some of this stuff is good. Like, and to be clear, some of the AI tools like Smith.ai is awesome. 11 Labs, I've been using that for trainings and recall stuff. And it's literally me deep faked in different languages. I think I've shown you a video of it. Me speaking in Spanish. I feel like a matador when I hear myself. I sound masculine. I sound sexy. But Synthesia is another one for LMS systems, and Rilla, we've been using it for our sales team. Dude, it is like, I'm looking around and I enjoy it for the reduction of costs in the company and the efficiencies that the customers receive. But secondly, like it does make me a little fearful of like the workforce in the future. Like there's a lot of jobs that ultimately will not be done away with, but will be reduced. And I think that we're seeing that wave in tech. We haven't seen it in trades yet, specifically in the field related or the skilled labor related portion, which is why you're seeing wages go up in construction like crazy.
Right.
For good reason. Supply demand, right? So, all right. Where are we going next? Let's actually go back to number one. We were supposed to start with number one, Terry. We don't have Drake with us. We have Drake's loyal friend, which we're starting to like a little bit more. His name is Chris with a K. And he complimented us on our looks today. So our egos are up. We are fired up today, Terry.
I know.
And damn well we're going to go home and our wives are going to look at us like, man, you are not the man I married X amount of years ago. But anyway, so any advice, suggestions for finding new hires based in northern New Jersey and looking to start building out a team? All right, this is vague. What kind of questions do you come up with from that? That's a broad stroke there, Terry.
I don't. So, I mean, my expectation is you can either look at short term or long term, right? And so, a lot of times when we are able to bring people in, and it's either into the educational program or working for the educational institution, word of mouth is the best way for us to find good employees or good people. And most of the time, if you have a good reputation and you're a place that people want to work, your current employees are going to be the best marketers out there. And my expectation is that in your organization, you probably have family members of current or past employees, and you hire good people to start, you take care of them, and then they start being those big cheerleaders for you out there in the rest of the community.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at this question. I think the guy probably put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. Like, I'm based in northern New Jersey and looking to start building a team should have been the beginning of that question. Because it's like any suggestions on finding new hires, it's like, well, first off, like, what kind of team are you building? And I'm guessing, like, from this question, this is probably a solopreneur and, or a technician out there. And by golly, God love you. I was there too and have been there several times. Hell, I'm back to that world practically in my software company. But I would think, like, first off, fill the weaknesses in the jobs that you don't want, like the ones that you just suck at. And honestly, if you're an owner out there, a lot of us think we are just rock star customer service people. We run in, save the day with our capes and make customers happy. Sometimes we are all over the place and we're horrible at it. It's funny, Terry. I got on a topic just this morning with an owners group, and it was about inspecting what you expect. And yes, I know a lot of people probably think I just listen to Def Leppard when I drive home every day, but sometimes I will log into our voice over IP system and listen to some of the recorded calls. We had a customer upset, and he demanded to talk to me. He's like, I want to talk to Will. And the funny thing is, God love him. Dude, Brian, if you're out there listening to this, which I know you're not, one of my GMs, he laughed a little bit on the line, and I'm like, oh, bro, this is not going to go well. And he goes, Mr. So-and-so, I just want to be very clear. You do not want to talk to Will. If you talk to him, the ball is going to get dropped. He's busy with all these things going on. He owns several businesses. He's got a nonprofit. If you want your problem fixed, I am literally paid to do that by Will. So if you want your problem solved, I'm here to help. If you want your ego stroked, talk to Will, but your problem won't get solved. I was like, damn, there we go. There's some, like, I'm like, how do I get that into AI? Because that was like slick. That was insane. So first, I guess on this question is like, if you're building a team, first identify like, who do you need to hire first?
Yeah.
Because you can throw a wide net on finding new hires. And man, I'm still a proponent, like depending on where you're at in the market, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, word of mouth, referrals, magnets on the trucks are the, like, do you even have like the positions open on your website? Somebody's like, man, we can't find anybody to work in these positions. They had nothing on their social media page, which is free organic content. Nothing on their website, no job opportunities tab, which is not got to be fancy. It's just got to be described and push it to your website person. Do you have magnets on the truck? Like, do your employees know? And in this case, if this is a solopreneur, that's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But man, you know how the game's played. I mean, we walked up around like Guthrie at the little street festivals and things like that. If I'm looking for somebody, I see somebody I know in the community, it's like, hey, how you doing? I'm good. I'm looking for a few people. If you know somebody, like just asking that in like a community setting will get you somebody. And I think we forget that, especially to you contractors out there dealing with like private equity in your market. And there's like, man, private equity still my stuff. It's like, dude, the grassroots movement is the first place to start. Check all the boxes for free stuff. But in this individual, like define what you need first. If you're building a team, get ready, bro. That's going to be a long grind. But if you take your time with it, dude, it's going to be awesome. So, by the way, like, how often do you guys hire like in the university? Like, is it a real, like, arduous process? Like,
So we have full-time faculty members or professors, but we also pick up adjuncts, which are industry professionals to come in, and they're industry professionals first and then teachers second. We'll look for them every semester because either we have new course material that we want to find someone to teach. We have someone that maybe their business is expanded and their commitment to the institution, they have to roll off. So we're trying to backfill that position. So we're flying. I mean, we have a job opening as an adjunct faculty member every semester. It's depending on which department, we're always looking. So we hire a lot more than you would think.
yeah. Yeah, but you never stop. And that's the key is like I tell people, we never stop recruiting ever. So, I mean, it's always a thing. It's like advertising. You never want to shut your advertising on. If you're scaling, now granted, if you got 3 employees, yeah, you probably shouldn't keep an ad out all the time, but at least put it on the website and say, hey, listen, this is a position, but it's filled. We'll notify you. And we'll actually put a list on our website, subscribe to this posting. So in the event that that position comes available at some point in the future, we already have the dry powder stashed up in the form of candidates that are waiting.
Yeah.
And this is not difficult stuff. This is just stuff that you push to your web provider. It's awesome. So,
And my expectation is you're the same way. If you're out there and you're talking to someone and it sounds like they might be a good fit for a position you have, or maybe one of your buddies that owns a business has, you're always listening for someone who says, hey, yeah, I've been doing this for a while. Maybe I'm thinking I need a change, or, oh, that's really interesting. I'd love to try and get into that. You're always thinking about what that next opportunity for that person might be because you don't know where you're going to find that next rock star. And if you can pick them up, you want to do that.
tradies, running your small business can be demanding. You got suppliers you got to work with. You're managing crews. Hell, you're chasing sales. It's a lot to take in. Listen, if you want to grow your business, you got to stop working in it and you got to start working on it. So that's where my friends at Foundation Rescue Supply come in. You're not just getting foundation repair products and waterproofing products and air quality control products. With their nationwide distribution, you're getting a partner who knows how to help you scale. And that's why I use them. The Foundation Rescue Supply team has industry knowledge that'll help make your life easier. You get the tools, the trainings, the systems that you need to move the needle. You want your sales team to close more leads? Done, because they have the proven process for that. You need your crews to work smarter, not harder? Done. Their installation training will get you out there and rocking and rolling in the field. With Foundation Rescue Supply, you're not just buying materials here, you're buying a better business system that they have helped create. And you sell more, you install more, and you grow your team. So the bottom line is this: you get best industry pricing, you get field productivity on track, and you get more revenue out of everybody on your team. So this is your chance to step up, scale up, and thrive. If you are ready to make that happen, head to foundationrescuesupply.com, check out their catalog, and speak to my friends, their team, how you can take beyond the products with your company with Foundation Rescue Supply. Back to the Q&A. Let me see here. All right. We are knocking these out. If we were paid for performance, we would be not very rich right now.
And so the only thing different about today, Will, versus every other time that we've done this and we've struggled to get through 2 questions, what's the difference?
We pre-gamed probably a little bit too much and technical difficulties, and you're not going to say I fucked with your equipment. Is that what you were going to say?
No, I was going to mention that Drake is not present.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, like we're rocking and rolling. We got Chris with a K on our side. So actually, this is cool. I think a lot of these questions, well, if you call it bilingual, but call it vocational questions. These are questions that like I can answer, but you can answer too.
I don't know if bivocational is a word. Well,
I just made it up, and it is now a word, Terry. Are you searching?
I am.
If it's not on Urban Dictionary, we should upload it today. Is bivocational a word?
Yeah, but it has a religious meaning, I guess.
Well, that won't land good in short form.
Not at all.
Hey, by the way, I had a short like over a year ago where I meant to say like a stigma something. Like, this is a major stigma in the industry. I actually said stigmata for some odd reason, and boy, dude, it blew up. Like, do you even know what that means? And I was like, I know what it means. It was just in the moment. I was probably 3 beers deep, So, all right, updating SOPs and binders for employees. And I know this person individually. They have everything in. Like, they're pretty good. They got their manuals set. They got everything going. How are you keeping these up to date when there are changes? And man, I've dealt with this. Like you go to the printing shop, you make this awesome binder. It's got your logo on the front. They flip that thing open and everything's laid out. And then you find a typo or a policy change, or you changed a vendor. And it's like, all right, bring all your binders in and we'll replace page 37 to 42. But man, we've converted digitally all of our SOPs.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the employees enjoy it more. We've started to upload those SOPs into verbal transcriptions, as well as we haven't started yet, but we're starting to iron it out. I mentioned 11 Labs before, me just going through it. And it's not me going through the SOP necessarily. It's just my AI avatar reading through it. And when those change, they change across all platforms. I know there's a lot of LMSs, which, to be clear, we've been using Slack and AI for this, but LMS, learning management systems out there, if you're not using a learning management system over 10 employees, man, they're worth their weight in gold. To give your employees and people just a central hub to access all of your systems, processes, and tools to learn their goals, man, it's powerful. And not to mention, I see some companies where they have like this SOP or training guides for a certain role, and they don't make it open content. And what I mean by that is like they don't give access to all employees. I love it. When I see production or installers on their own time learning about sales. And some of our best salespeople came from production, and we actually told them early on, like, hey, if you want to get into sales, man, there's the information. Like, and they'll learn it on their own. Now, the ones that are like, they just say they want to be in a different department, but they're not taking the time, that automatically lets you know their motivations around it, back to what's in it for me, right? But it's interesting. Like we used to, and if you're out there on a shoestring budget, heck, we've gone as far as just putting in our Google Drive or our Microsoft Team OneDrive and giving everybody access to that. And then you just use the search function. Anytime it's changed, there's a notation on who changed it and when. But yeah, it's one of those, this is making it easy. But I have probably saved in the last year, $3,900 in printing costs. And hell, like, Terry, you know me, I'm not a detailed oriented guy. Like, so when somebody tosses me an SOP or a guide and said, hey, can you double check this for typos? like, I like glance it and it's like, yeah, it looks good. And then you get it back and there's typos everywhere. I hate copy. I hate having to review copy. I mean, but it's wild. Like, how do you guys deal with that? Like updating like these global syllabuses and things like
Syllabi.
that. Syllabi.
Well,
Is that what it? Oh, I'm sorry. Is that the correct pronunciation?
If we're gonna use words, well, let's get them right. So
Syllabus.
in
It's
that,
yeah.
So in that vein, I mean, bivocationally, which is completely not the correct use of that term. I mean, when we go in to set something up, right? So we're building either a course or a lecture that we're going to use every time we run that class. One of the big things that I'll tell new faculty is think about making it applicable if it's in the fall or the spring or the summer, right? So you don't want to specifically use terminology like, you're not dating things. You're not putting in placeholders that are specific to a time and place so that when you go to copy it and move it forward, it's an easy translation, be it starting in April, starting in June, starting in July. The other thing I would say, and my expectation is that you might agree, is anything is better than nothing, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have, say you're trying to, and we talked with Jeff, when he was videoing or creating these training manuals on how to install garage doors, right? My expectation is the first ones were rough, right? Mm-hmm. It's probably a cell phone camera someone's holding, so it's a little shaky, and the audio's not good, but it is something. Something is better than nothing. Yeah. And if you're not doing something because you're afraid it's going to turn out and have a few issues, you're probably missing the bigger picture.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a saying, which my wife does not enjoy most times, but 80% complete and shipped is better than perfection. It's like, dude, just get it out the door,
I think that is, don't let perfection be the enemy of good.
Yeah.
Or don't. Yes.
Oh, Drake mixes that down. Hey, you look like the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz, and he's talking about directions to Dorothy. Our younger listeners, none of you won't get that reference, but
not a clue.
Oh man. Hey, but actually we've talked about this, like in education, like when the class is over, your education is to that date, right? So do they get updates after if it's like, hey, you took this class a semester ago? This is actually updated information. I don't know if it's because you deal with code and, certain common up-to-date regulatory practices. I mean, is that a thing?
Well, let me ask you this, Will. When was the last time you listened to a book, all right, listen to something, mm-hmm. or a seminar, book on tape, or what have you, and you were able to learn something and better yourself?
Oh, every time.
Right. And my expectation is you go forward and you step out each day and you're like, well, I'm going to learn something probably, right? You're never stepping out thinking, I know it all. I'm done. Mm-hmm. Don't need to learn anything, right? Every one of my graduates that comes out of any of the programs, I tell them you're not done. I mean, we'll use the term lifelong learners, right? And mm-hmm. someone's going to freak out because it's a relatively soft term, but you always have to be willing to learn something, right? There's never going to come a day where you know it all. And if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Well, Terry, we're in this room together. How we doing here? Like measuring against one another?
Oh, well, we
you got me beat, bro. Yeah, listen, you got me beat. Have you attached doctor to your name yet?
No. Not yet.
Dr. Kleinfelter. It's got a good ring to it. I'll give it to you anyway. Who's going to correct you? If people start calling you Dr. Kleinfelter, you think they're going to like demand a certificate and a like oak frame with mat? I mean, we could call you Dr. Kleinfelter.
Yeah, my expectation is there's someone out there who would get their feathers in a ruffle. He did not earn that yet.
Well, are you and Carrie going to have another kid? Or are you done with your two?
No, we look at those two and we are fearful of them, and we figure if we add a third, then we're outnumbered, and I'll probably be outgunned and outsmarted relatively soon.
Man, if I could go back, I would have named one of my kids Doctor just to piss everybody off. Dr. Blake. Oh, what's your first name? Doctor. It would have been better known than some of these weirdo names we see, like, Apple. And if I have to hear another Hayden, Braden, Yaden, Staten, all these names, sorry. Love the kids out there at our camp, but man, there's a bunch of those. All right. Let's get to something else that really just pisses me off. Oh, we're having fun today. QA episodes, man. We just get to shoot the breeze. I get to give my opinion, whether it's right or wrong on everything. I love it. What are you using for inventory tracking materials and equipment? Ugh, this is the bane of my existence. And by the way, to be clear, if you are a company out there that has to house inventory, this is always an issue because it involves so many different things. You have to count the products that you have, but more importantly, it has to be measured or documented by a human being. So you have a human error there that occurs. And honestly, we're still having to fact check it with spreadsheets, paper on clipboards. We do use Hilti OnTrack for our tool management, which is cool because there's some Bluetooth features to that, some geotagging. Because, man, I will say this, Hilti OnTrack, I think Sam Sarah's got some new products out there for tracking equipment. Our friends at United Rentals, or Rentals, Terry, did they mention what type of GPS they're using on their equipment?
No, but all of their systems are GPS enabled. So not saying that anyone would take this to heart and not steal a piece of United Rentals equipment, because you don't want to steal in general, but they're able to track it down to the property location. It comes up just like you're pinging someone's cell phone. So
yeah, it's like you have to be an idiot, but still, man, even if it's an AirTag, do something on your equipment.
So I'm going to tell you a story. So there's a large residential roofing contractor here in the greater Oklahoma City area. And I was sitting with the owner, and what they would do, and we're talking very large, they would take an Apple ID pod chip, I don't know what you call them, and they will slip it into a handful of shingles, right? So they'll set a pallet of shingles out on a job, right? And they will place it as bait, and they'll go after those individuals who are stealing from them. And sometimes it's internal, sometimes it's external. But Will, I was going to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this question might be, is the inventory management system, is it set up to maintain logistics for your organization? And not for you, but I'd imagine that an employer is going to ask this, or owner is going to ask this. Am I trying to make sure people aren't stealing from me? Or am I trying to better my business so I don't have logistics issues down the road in terms of running out of material to put in place?
Well, yeah, that's the thing is like I have quite a bit of inventory in stock. Right. Now, if there's a fast cycle of inventory, man, that management system needs to be up to date quickly. Uh-huh. And there's stuff on the market now, and I can't remember the names. I've already given a bunch of unpaid, spokesman dollars to our companies out there for our 5 listeners, but there's even scaling systems now. When you take a widget off a shelf, it's measuring the weight in there and it's automatically counting it. One of the things that I love is, when it comes to companies that have very fast inventory cycles, when you can lean on a vendor to do that for you, man, that's the best of both worlds. And we see this now with electrical, plumbing, HVAC companies. I have seen it with landscaping, drainage companies, siding companies. So they exist out there and they're called consignment, where the product that is in your yard or your shop is not your property until you take it to a job. And they will send somebody out to reconcile it. And then what happens is you get billed for the difference. It's your job to categorize it to each job for job costing. But I mean, this happens all the time. You see Fastenal. Have you been in a facility that has like a Fastenal vending machine for consumables? Yeah, it's the same thing for your product. So if you can keep a steady flow of product rolling through your cash cycle, man, put as much of that on your vendor as possible. Shameless plug to our folks at FRS, one of our sponsors. Like, they're one of the few in our industry that do it, meaning specifically foundation repair, waterproofing, things like that. Like, that's unheard of in our industry, but exteriors, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, drainage, NDS products, specifically when I say drainage, like Site One does that all the time. Like, these are awesome programs that it's like, by the way, it's a win-win. You don't have to measure the inventory as much and walk around with a spreadsheet in your hand all day, but they get to sell more product, right? And that's the win-win on it. And typically, if you're doing enough, you get discounts on top of it. So, but yeah, inventory tracking is the bane of my existence. I hate it. Man, it's so frustrating. You see these weirdos in the gas station when they're always doing inventory on like all the candy bars and stuff like that. They got a calculator on their.
Yeah, and they're just
Yeah, it's like it's like machine gun fire, and I'm like, how accurate could this be? Like, I would be interested if there's somebody out there that knows that world. I'm sure like we're 100% accurate, but Six Sigma rule says like nothing's accurate, right? Like it has to be off by something. But yeah, inventory tracking management. Ugh. Off to the next question. I'm loving that we're moving on from that one.
Yeah, Will, I really want to go to the last one on this list because one, you don't know how to type, but two, I honestly think that's going to be something enjoyable to talk about.
Hold on. There's only like one misspelling in there, and a lot of these are copy paste, and then I reformat them to the Arial font 11.5.
So I don't think formatting the font and or size is going to change the misspellings, but I'm not here to criticize, Will. I'm here to support. So the question is, I have an old sales team that is reluctant to change, and they always seem to say that this is the way we've done it, and this is the way we're going to keep doing it. What advice would you have for them?
All right. So, it's funny, and I know he listens to this podcast. Jeff, if you're down in Austin, I love you. This question came up in a roundtable meeting. This is a problem you've been dealing with. And by the way, this is an established company, been around for like 30 years. Great, great outfits. So, man, I've had to do this like 3 or 4 times in a past life, and just it's like when you run marathons, there's always these guys out with the signs that say embrace the suck. It's like, man, it sucks to turn like the old, this is the way we've always done it mentality in an organization. Yep. And Terry, you know this. We've talked about this with your business too. Not business, but your career. Like, there's people like, you ain't going to change them. Like, there's no way to change it. But in a business, like, I think a lot of owners just settle and they're like, well, this is just the way it is. And I don't have the energy to turn it around. But every time I've done it is, one thing, it's like, if we have a sales team, specifically sales are an important part of home service companies, and you try to make change, they push back against that change. And then it becomes a push and pull of like, well, no, this is the way we're doing it. And if you don't like that, I'm going to hold you accountable. And then otherwise, I'm going to find new people. In my older age, which you mentioned before, yes, I am an elder millennial, and I fully expect a trophy after this podcast, to be clear. Like, that methodology doesn't work. But man, in my older age, if the sales team's small enough, I'd damn well just burn the thing to the ground and start from scratch in my new vision. But I have turned dysfunctional sales teams around. It's a tough battle, but it all starts with like your conviction and belief. Like, I believe we should change the system because of XYZ, and that's my conviction around it. And that's the first thing. You wouldn't tell that to the sales team, but you want to be very clear on what your beliefs are. Like, I believe fixing a problem today in a house is way better than fixing it 5 years from now. because we know with inflation and everything else, that repair is going to be more expensive in the future. I believe that. And if I were, gone from this world and my grandmother, got an estimate from somebody in my type of industry, I would want them to tell her that. I believe that's important. And there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you're just trying to sell products. It's like, no, I'm trying to prevent, a 40% higher cost of it later from doing nothing. And, if you disagree with that, throw something in the comments. We'll argue all day on this. But if you can address that team from that conviction, they'll start to make it their own and understand, if I were gone and my wife were here to make the decisions on the household, how would I want her to be treated? How would I want somebody to treat her? And if those beliefs are in line with mine, like, no, I believe it's important to fix it now and not. It's like the check engine light in your car. I don't want the check engine light to be on and it's like eventually going to blow up in the middle of the desert. Just fix it, honey. Anyway, sorry, Terry, I kept interrupting you. I was rambling.
No, it's perfectly fine. So I want to add two things. One, if you're gone, Sydney's going to make better choices. So
she makes better choices now. It's gonna go into plus ultra mode, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you're here and she's making better choices. But the funny part is you're in the home service industry, right? So you're in service to all these customers and you're trying to do what is best for them. And are you trying to provide a service and make money? Yes. But you're also trying to make sure that you're helping them take care of that largest investment that they have, most likely in their life. But, going back to that bivocational concept, right? We see this all the time. And the way I'll apply it to teachers or faculty is you want to not do something that's in benefit to the students in your classroom. It's like saying well, do it for the kids, right? Who can argue with that mentality that you're going to do something that helps children, right? Yep. And if you do argue with that, what type of horrible person are you?
No. I'm picturing that Sarah McLachlan song kicking up in the background. Hey, the one where it's talking about like dogs and is it dogs? Yeah. I'm not going to sing it. Boy, that would be hysterical.
Please don't.
All right. I'm going to pluck one of these out. Actually, no, this is great. I already have a canned answer for this one. Number 5, I wanted to look into changing my subs over to W-2 piece rate employees. What are some of the things to consider? This is actually a cool conversation I had with an owner 2 weeks ago. He pays 30% in labor, and he asked me, because I have a lot of people on my software that, have in-house crews, and he's like, what's the going rate for, people that are in-house? And in his particular service, it was 18%. And he was like, okay, but then I have to own the trucks. I have to own the tools. I have to own, the insurance. And I'm like, yeah, that's typically the case. And then we peeled it back, and it was one of those where, after you take, call it the insurance costs, the taxes on the capital investments, and a few other, and this is just off the cuff, and owning the small tool expenses by percentage of revenue, which, by the way, most of this is just asset purchases. It kind of came out in the shake to be like 21.5% of income in the cost of goods sold. So 21.5% versus 30, pretty good deal. The only problem is this is not a flip of the switch in a home service organization. Like, that's a big capital investment that is going to require either asset purchases or leases and all these different things. And he's way early off on it, but it's like, yeah, let's go through the thought exercise. So if you're considering moving to the W-2 model in your construction company, just know that there's all those other capital investments coming. Now the upside is the employees now, like, they can wear your shirts. They can wear, your marketing collateral. They can have branded trucks because you own those vehicles. Like subs, you can't require that. And this specific person was in Texas. In certain markets, boy, they police it a lot, where it's like, hey, if you have this contractor, this 1099 person, and they're 100% of their income is coming from your company, guess what? They're an employee. They're not a contractor. Yep. And you're just sitting on a letter from the Department of Labor when you piss that person off. It's only a matter of time. So the adverse is correct, though. Like if you're a company that has everything in-house and you want to move to subs, you're going to reduce your expenses immediately through not owning the equipment, the tools, the general liability, workers' comp insurance. However, you're going to adopt that and their markup when you pass it to a sub because that sub has to pay for those things. And you should, no knocking against subs, like you should be have them list you as an additionally insured because, man, some of those guys, they won't pay insurance. And all of a sudden, you don't know until something goes belly up. The big kicker, why this person, Terry, sorry, I should have had some flavor in here. The reason they were wanting to move W-2 that they couldn't quantify is how much work is the sub stealing from us on potential future work because they're doing the work with the customer. And then the sub says, hey, by the way, if you need something else done in that bathroom that you didn't do, rather than going to this company, why don't you just call me directly?
Mhm.
And they're losing that business and they can't quantify it. They've hit a plateau. So this is why this employee or this owner's working through this. And it's definitely like what I have seen is it could easily be 1 year to, 18 months as a transition. Michael Soto did this at Soto Flooring here in Oklahoma City. Went from 4 subs to 2 in-house crews. It took him 8 months, and I thought that was pretty darn fast. But he dropped his labor from 42% to 17. It
Wow.
worked, man. So if you're bought in, boy, you can do it. Get ready for the grind. It's gonna be a haul. All right, Terry, I'm gonna let you pick the next one. I've been bouncing around a little bit.
You mean I get to pick?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
It's always nice. All right.
Now
So
I'm working out our questions here. Don't be making something off the cuff that's not on our questions. I'm just kidding.
I know. For all you who don't know, Will is working off giant flashcards
Yep.
that are held up directly in front of him.
Yeah,
So.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Damn it. Who messed with the teleprompter? Will can't understand anything that's not on the teleprompter.
You know how many young people would not catch that reference, Will?
That's all right. Let's start our own ancillary podcast of just educating the youth and our shitty sense of humor and poor movie references.
Exactly. All right. So I like this one. So I am buying out my business partner. And to be clear, this is a question. This is not me because my business partner is my wife and I'm not trying to buy her out at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I am buying out my business partner. How have you seen these deals structured in the past?
It's funny you bring up Carrie. I mean, there's actually some conversation to be had there. So let's just talk about like if you are married to your business partner, dude, like just divorce alone is like insanely like just destructive to an organization. Number one, you have in most cases, 99% of the time, the assets are completely split in half, right? Net worth just got chopped. Like when you have a business with your spouse, that got chopped. Then the worst part about it is the government is at the table too. So what that means is when you have to liquidate the either financial or hard assets of the company, you're going to pay gains on those. So you think it's half, but you're going to walk away with less than third of the asset value in that instance. So when we're talking about like buying out a business partner, typically in a spousal situation, everything's fine and dandy. That's great. But man, when you're in business with one another, it's worse than having a bad business partner that you're not married to. So most people don't think about that. And when you're talking about like, man, we built this big business, but now I'm going through a divorce. It's like that infrastructure and that legal structure is super important. And I think that ties up to everything here is like, first off, the operating agreement, you got to go back to that. You've heard me say it in previous podcasts, Terry, like I call it an operating disagreement because nobody reads a damn thing until somebody's got a disagreement, right? But yeah, if you're a small company, it's common to just call it an asset purchase agreement. Like, hey, you own this equipment, we own it together, I'm going to buy you out, especially if you're real small. If you're on the receiving end of that, be careful. That could be viewed as income as an asset purchase agreement, depending on your legal structure. And by the way, to be clear, here's my car commercial disclaimer. I am not a CPA. I'm not an attorney on this podcast. So talk to your attorney should probably have been the first thing that came out of my mouth. But
And I'll interject with that. We sometimes question if he's even professional. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, even me some days. And that'll be on our next episode about imposter syndrome. So and disillusion. But yeah, when we talk about this, first off, the legal structure is very important. But most of the time, like you'll go to the balance sheets if you're just looking at it cut and dry and what's the equity in the company? And if they own 30%, you take that, multiply it by 30%, and that's what it's worth. Go buy them out. Knock yourself out. You can go to the bank for that. Tons of like micro loans through the SBA for that. Also, there's a form of seller finance. Sometimes when a partner wants to get out, and actually I'm going to go way, 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 way back to Brandon Powell's episode. Gosh, I want to say it's probably like 30 or 40. He bought his brother out, and that was more of a cash flow deal for him. So some seller finance in there.
Yep.
There's also, I have seen in some of these instances where it's negotiable. The price that somebody's willing to pay is what it's worth. And what it's worth is typically judged by the type of individual that is willing to pay for it that is not under duress, to be clear. If somebody's under duress, that can undervalue a company. So you got to be clear about that. But I try to be generous. I've seen this in a few times where one of the partners has a family member, like a spouse that got cancer. And it's like, man, I got to get out of the business.
Okay.
Do you want to capitalize on that situation? If you're a good human being, no. Give a good value there. Also, there could be beneficiaries listed in those as well, where the ownership is a beneficiary of, the children or a spouse of the company. Specifically, just to be clear, like in some of my businesses, we have a block against that to where I do not want to be business partners with my business partner's spouses.
Yep.
So I guess this entire question is a bunch of politicians' answers from Will. But ultimately, like today or over the weekend, please pull up your operating agreement. And it's probably very boilerplate because you got it off the internet or ChatGPT or LegalZoom. Read through that and really think, do I need to push this for an amendment? Because you may be the one that's wanting to get bought out, not this case. But in these instances, man, it could cost you a lot of money. Most deals, what I see a lot of folks, when it's partner to partner, it's financed through a small business loan. And to have clean balance sheets, you're going to want to make sure those are clean before you even start entertaining these conversations. But I have found that facilitating these conversations with an attorney are paramount because most business partners are not good at communicating these and they feel like they're going to piss the other person off. When a really good attorney just levels it out and say, hey, this is just a transaction. That's all it is. You want something, they want something. Let's figure it out. And that just eases a lot of the tension. So, by the way, Terry, you were talking about your Carrie being a business partner and you would never venture in this, but I have tried to replicate the story of how you acquired the land across from your new property, your bar that you're building. And I love this because people are like, there's no opportunities, there's no good listings. And I'm like, well, my friend Terry literally, like, I think bought land off of a bum. Like,
okay. First off,
clarify this because I don't think I recalled the story well enough or told it very well, but this is a great sales story, opportunist story.
So my expectation, and I think what our experience has been, I think we went through in all the transactions that we have had over the past 16 years, right? And we're talking 10, 15. I think we used a real estate agent maybe twice, right? Everything else has been for sale by owner, word of mouth. And that's...
Yeah, it blows my mind. It's not traditional, but you guys make it work. And it's like, it's so easy for you guys.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that we had purchased a piece of property from this individual in the beginning. This individual owned other property in this area that we were interested in. And you basically just like, hey, if you're going out to a bar, Will, and you're trying to maybe pick someone up, you drop hints like, hey, if you ever do want to sell anything, let me know. Right? It is as easy as that. And if that will either engage them and say, maybe I do want to sell something. The other part of it is, if you say that to someone and you say it, I don't know, every 6 months that you see that person, that there might come an opportunity down the road where they need to sell something. Maybe they don't want to, but maybe they need to. And what they're going to think about is, well, you think anyone's going to buy it? Well, Terry said he'd buy it. Let me give Terry a call. And now it's not a competition between me and everyone else out there on Zillow or Realtor or whatever those websites are. It's a conversation, and I'm not losing. What do realtors make nowadays? A couple of percentage points on the sale?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
6?
Yeah.
Right?
Up to, I think, 6.5. Don't hold us to that. I'm not a real estate guy, but.
Oh, another disclaimer.
Yep.
Just like plaster it right there.
Yep.
But it is all that. If you were even somewhat interested, drop hints and let them know you're interested.
Hold on. I want to give you credibility here, Terry. So,
Whoa.
I want to hear the specifics because I don't think I recalled it very well. Terry has this property, and there is an unusable piece of land next to a river right across the street.
Correct.
Be a perfect parking lot.
Or a place for a van down by the river.
Yeah.
So I have my retirement.
Back to the business partner question. When I get kicked out of the house and I need a place to stay, that's why Terry got the property. But the old boy that owned this showed up, right? And then didn't you be like, hey, you ever want to sell that? Am I telling that right?
Yeah, I had literally said, probably 4 to 6 months ago, hey, if you ever want to sell that, you let me know, right? And that was in passing conversation. We were talking about something else, and I just dropped a hint. And lo and behold, a month comes out, and old boy needs a little money. And he is asset rich, cash poor. And so at that point in time, it's like, hey, I'll make you a deal. Hey, I'd like a deal. Right?
We won't disclose the amount on that, but it was stupid low. It was stupid low. And we were not on air, but we definitely cheers to that one.
Yes.
And how many acres was that? It wasn't a full acre, was it?
No, it's not a full acre, but at the end of the day, they ain't making any more property. They ain't making any more land.
Especially in a flood zone. And you just need it for parking. That's what was cool about it. Throw some gravel on it, bam, got parking. Well, all right. Well, Terry, we are over our time today. We didn't get through all of our questions, but we got through plenty of them. I think it was
we got through more than most.
Yeah, we're overachievers. I mean, this is not a pass-fail, right? But to you folks out there, listen, thanks for listening to another episode of Beers with Contractors. We got a whole new back to our normal format coming in the next few weeks. So looking forward to seeing you guys next week on Beers with Contractors. Talk soon. Cheers, Terry.
Cheers.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Beers with Contractors. We hope you enjoyed our chat as much as we did. Before we say our final goodbyes, a friendly reminder. Beers with Contractors encourages responsible drinking. If you choose to enjoy a beverage during our time together, please do so in moderation and only if you're of legal drinking age in your country or state. Furthermore, the advice and insights shared in this podcast are for informational purposes only. Always consult with professionals and experts in your field, and be sure to follow local laws and regulations regarding licensing and permits. We're here to help, entertain, and inspire, but your safety and compliance are important. So, as you head out into the world of construction and contracting, remember to build responsibly and make decisions that stand the test of time. Thanks for joining us today. We'll catch you on the next episode of Beers with Contractors. Until then, cheers to your success.